What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Combat Corner HMIT Sparring Gloves. Alright folks, as always, I am incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today we have the Combat Corner HMIT Sparring Gloves in the lace-up version. And I'll go over the different models you can get, but you can get these in a bunch of different colors, and you can also get them in a Velcro version. Also, don't get these confused for the standard HMIT training gloves. These are the HMIT Sparring Gloves, which is their traditional Mexican-style glove. They have the traditional Mexican-style cuff and everything, which is primarily why I got these for my first pair of equipment I've ever used by Combat Corner. Now, Combat Corner's been around since 2007, and I believe they're still stationed out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is, if you're familiar with the MMA landscape of pro MMA, is where Duke Roufus and Roufus Sport is out of, which is one of the bigger gyms in the world that have had guys like Gerald Mearshart. Obviously, they trained CM Punk as well. They also have the world-famous Pettis brothers, both Anthony and Sergio Pettis. Anthony being the former UFC lightweight champion. I'm pretty sure Sergio is still the flyweight champion of Bellator. But basically, these gloves and Combat Corner have been a brand I've wanted to get for a long time. A lot of people will ask me if I'm affiliated with Combat Corner at all because of my logo and the Combat Corporation. No, and I was actually worried about that when I started the channel, so I reached out to them and they said, yeah, just don't try and sell anything. Something close to us, which I haven't. So there's that. So they were really cool about that. My logo is actually supposed to be after Capsule Corporation from Dragon Ball. So no, I'm not trying to rip Combat Corner. But everyone asked me if that's where the name came from. I said no. Combat Corner was a brand that I've wanted for a long time, and for whatever reason, I just never got around to getting their stuff because either people sent me so many other things or I bought other things that were like newer and stuff like that, and I always knew Combat Corner would be a brand that's there. But a lot of people in my gym started buying a lot of Combat Corner sparring gloves and a lot of Combat Corner gear, and I really said, you know what, it's about time I just sit down and I buy a pair. So the first thing I went with was a pair of boxing gloves, and this was probably it is, besides their fight gloves, is the most high-end glove that you can get from Combat Corner is their sparring glove here. And this is their take on a Mexican-style glove. As you can see, it kind of has that nice Mexican-style curve to it, the flat knuckles and the Mexican-style wrist, and you even got some of those, the three cuff going on for the lace-ups. And like I said earlier, you can get them in a bunch of different colors, and you can get them in Velcro as well. And I'll show that in a second. But Combat Corner started basically with like Duke Roufus and everything like that, and a couple other pros. They're primarily supplied to Duke Roufus and Roufus Sport. You see all of his fighters use that stuff, and in fact, my friend trained there like 2 years ago, and he said you would have loved it there because they have a whole part of the gym that is just a rack filled with boxing gloves, shin guards, and MMA gloves, headgear, all those things. So you can literally go to Roufus Sport and buy gear if you need it, which is awesome, and you're getting some of the best gear on the market. Now, Combat Corner's been around for for over a decade now, since 2007, but I really didn't start seeing them get very popular until the mid-2000s. That's when you saw all the guys in the world start using these, and I was really, really intrigued. I know a lot of guys use the sparring gloves in my gym. A lot of guys use them in the pros. I've seen Khamzat Chimaev use them. I've seen, obviously Paul Felder, also Roufus Sport. You see Aljamain Sterling use Combat Corner, so it's a very well-respected brand amongst the MMA community. And also, when you talk about kickboxers as well that were sponsored by Combat Corner before he moved to MMA was Alex Pereira, who is, of course, the UFC middleweight champion right now. So they definitely have a lot of big names behind them, and I'm excited to do the review on these. Now, once again, these are the HMIT, which stands for Handmade in Thailand. They have a whole line of stuff. They have HMIT bag gloves, shin guards, heavy bags, headgear. boxing gloves, Thai gloves. So this is more of, I would say, the boxing glove category compared to a Muay Thai glove, though this is considered by Combat Corner a Mexican-made glove done Thai style, which is really cool. Some brands have tried to pull that off and have done really well. The one that comes to mind is the Fairtex BGV9, which did a really good job, and it is basically a Mexican glove made Thai style. So this glove is very similar to that in some ways, but I think this glove definitely hit a couple other areas that Fairtex might have fallen on. So we'll definitely go into that in a second. Going into the model that I have, once again, I have the HMIT. The only sizes, the sparring glove version, the only sizes I saw were 12 and 16 ounces. I got the black and yellow colorway. The Velcro has a couple different colorways, but they all have virtually the same thing, and it's solid black with red or solid white with blue. I also saw a while ago, I couldn't find it on their website, they had the purple coloration, but their Velcro model of the regular HMIT, which is a completely different glove, and they actually have a chart right on their website that tells you the difference, and there's really only one difference that comes to the sparring glove. Two actually is the traditional Mexican style cuff, and also the lining on the inside is different. It's they call it laminated lining. But other than that, the Thai glove and this glove is made very similar. It's just a different shape. This is definitely more of a boxing style glove. But once again, my model is the 16 ounce. I got that in black and yellow because I think it just popped out really well. And it looks pretty sharp. Speaking of looks, let's go into the look of the glove. First off, you have a completely black striking surface all the way here on the back, except to where you get to the top of the wrist cuff turns to yellow, and that goes all the way to the thumb. And you can see on the thumb it says handmade in Thailand. Right there it says handmade in Thailand, premium quality. I was trying to remember what the bottom part said, but it says premium quality. So that's what a lot of Thai made brands will do, is put that little stamp there with the country of Thailand right there. You got that nice, it pops out really well, the Combat Corner logo, and that's actually it looks like it's sublimated right into the leather, which is nice, because on their MMA gloves that I have, the logo's already wearing off, but in this one, no. It looks like this was sublimated right in there. Then when you turn it around, you have a 16 ounce stamp right across the palm, which I like more than the tag because it tells you that right there. The piping is all yellow. I changed the laces. The laces that they came with were black, and they were just long round laces or flat laces that weren't very long actually, so I got longer laces. I don't usually get flat laces, but this is the only one that my sporting goods store had in stock that was long enough, so I just bought them and said whatever. And then when we come down here, we got yellow piping on the thumb as well. On the back of the hand here, you got that white pipe. I keep saying white, yellow piping. And then on the back, it's a nice, it's kind of like Reyes. It says Combat Corner, Bangkok, Thailand, premium quality boxing equipment with their trademark logo. That is like a patch that's right here on the back here. And it's that feel, it's like the same thing as Reyes. It's like that canvas type feel, but it has like that glittery feel to it as well where the gold is. So it definitely looks cool. It makes the glove stand out pretty well. And then we have the Combat Corner Professional going across right there on the bottom of the wrist cuff. Also, it's part of the design as well, but what makes the glove stand out too is you can see that we have the 3 ridges for your wrist cuff where the laces will then rest. Like you can see here, it'll pop right through and line right up easy with those spots. But other than that, to me, it's a fairly basic looking glove, but the way that they map out the coloring and everything and the way that the logo pops out really makes it look like a pro-made glove, which is awesome. Speaking of the make of the glove, talking about the design and the build, the whole outside layer it's still a very nice smelling leather, and it reminds me a lot about Reyes. It smells very similar to Reyes in some ways, but it's like a hybrid between a Reyes scent and a Fairtex scent. So you can definitely tell that it is a very nicely made leather, and it's all cowhide on the outside, and it's very soft and smooth leather as well. The only difference between this glove and some other Mexican gloves is that the hide, kind of like in a lot of Thai gloves, so I can see what they mean about the Thai style, is that there's not a whole lot of thickness to the hide on the glove. You can't really pull too much off like you can with other ones, so it's stretched. very tight over the padding. You know, it's not too tight to where it makes the padding so stiff like some other gloves will, but it is a bit more of a supple leather that is stretched as far as it'll go. But I like that because it kind of minimizes the creases in some ways, and you can see you've got the nice fine grain marks all the way throughout the leather, so that's really just proves to you that the leather is very well made, and you can see that very well up close. Same thing for the wrist around here. The whole glove is made out of that, and it's a very soft, supple leather feel. It feels like a very high quality, if you've ever been in like a Cadillac car, it feels like a very high quality car seat, or you know, at the movie theaters, they have those leather recliner chairs and stuff. It feels really durable like that. But it has the feel similar to like Fairtex and Reyes of their higher end stuff. Talking about the padding of the glove, this glove uses a traditional latex padding, which I think is virtually the same as the HMIT tie gloves. I have those too. I bought those recently, so I'm going to be doing a review probably within the next month because I've been using those a lot lately. Feels the same, but this actually has, like it says on their YouTube video too. I'll post that in the link in the description below so you can see the guy from Combat Corner just give a brief description of the glove. But when you come to the knuckle, you have your traditional latex padding like you will, and what Combat Corner says is, unlike most traditional Mexican gloves, though it has latex padding, they put something called a boost wedge on the inside over the latex. So the latex is underneath, and then you have a firmer padding that breaks in very easy over top of the knuckles. And you can actually kind of see that yes, it does retract just as quick as latex would, but it's trying to stop me from folding the glove in. And in fact, I can't forcefully fold it any more than about here without really straining. You can kind of see my arms are literally flexing, right? So it's really hard to do that. So the leather will crease, obviously, in that. But as far as you have that padding goes, the whole top layer is that boost wedge, which to me is just kind of like what a lot of tie gloves do. Fairtex does a very similar thing with their patented, I think it's like their 5-layer or 3-layer foam system that they called, and that's the same thing that you have here. So you have basically 2 or 3 different layers of foam. You have an EVA type of boost wedge that they call it over top of the latex that gives it more of a cradle feel when you punch. So it gives you a lot more knuckle padding compared to Reyes or compared to even the BGV9 by Fairtex, which has very thin padding at the front. This padding is very thin compared to other gloves. As you can see, it's not very thick, but that boost wedge towards the top does provide excellent protection for the knuckles, which is surprising for a puncher's glove, especially for the fact that you have that traditional Mexican style flattened punch surface. So it's not rounding out, it's flat right here. So when you put your hand on the inside of the glove, it's like that. You can see it right down the center, boom, and it shoots right through. That's where your knuckles rest, like every puncher's glove should. The other thing too is you can kind of see the design of the thumb is a bit more of like a hybrid of a Mexican and Thai style glove, in that you have that nice curved part. It's not going too far in to where your thumb's going to smash, but it's also on the side enough to where you can open up wide for a nice Thai style grip. And it's also nice and loose towards the top here, and you can actually see that they have a small split in the padding here, so you have more dexterity to open your palms up, and so you can get good grips with your fingers. So I really like that Combat Corner did that. They were really smart with that. It reminds me, if you see the Everlast MX Originals, they have the same split there, and some other gloves have that same split. It's very faint, but you can see that little line going across there. So it's more flexible towards the top there, which is a good feeling. Going down to the bottom where the wrist is, you, like I said, you have those 3 wrist excuse me, those 3 wrist wedges right there. I just stumbled my words. Right here, and that's where the laces will go. It's very padded here, so if you're catching kicks, it's very padded, especially when you're training, which feels awesome. And you can also see the stitch right here that is keeping your wrist in a nice secured spot as well. Right when you put your hand on the inside of the glove, if I open it up a little bit and put that on, you can see my wrist actually rests right here, which is nice. It's not any higher or lower, it's right there. So I don't have to pinch the top of it, and that's good for wrist support. So you have all that nice padding going all the way across here. And that's the nice part about this in the palm area. And you also have a very soft grip bar. I'll take this off so you can see it. You have a very soft grip bar all the way throughout here, and it feels nice. The padding all the way throughout here. It basically feels like your mattress topper foam that you would get, like that very soft, high density foam, the open cell stuff, and it feels good, and it's great for drilling. So if you're into drilling with like pads and stuff, it feels good. The padding is really more in the like bottom parts on the side of your forearm and your palm than it is the center of your palm and your hand. So there's not a whole lot of padding up here except for the very soft grip bar. The thumb attachment on the website says that it's a webbed attachment. With their tie style glove it is, but it's not here. It's just a basic thumb attachment like that. And it's not very flexible, the thumb. It just kind of always stays here, but it's very easy to close it in like that, which feels good. When we open the glove up, and I'll go ahead and do that for you, you see that we have a completely black layered inside here. And they call it the laminated lining, and it feels good. It's stretched nice and tight on the inside of the glove compared to a Reyes, so they actually do really good, because sometimes Reyes can be stretched, or not stretched, can be very loose, and you have to like adjust your fingers sometimes, but in this case you do not here. It's very smooth, it's very comfortable. It's that laminated nylon lining, which feels really good. When I put my hand on the inside of the glove, it fits in really well. And towards the top, it is similar to the Fairtex BGV9 in that it kind of has that denim feel. The only thing about the denim feel in this glove, I wish I could show you that. I wish you could just pop a glove inside out so you can see it, but you can't. That would be pretty bad. But it has that feeling, only it has like the nylon stretched over it. So it's comfortable on my fingers, which is awesome. The other nice part about it is where that stitch right up here towards the top of my fingers meets like the glove here, right up here where my fingers are. It's also padded, which feels good. It's like, it's nice and stitched over. It's not rubbing against my fingers any. I don't ever feel like my wrist is out of place. There's not a whole lot of motion or movement. If I really strap this glove on tight like this, it hugs my arm perfectly, as you can see, and there's no space, there's no room getting in here, especially if I wrap this over and around. It's kind of hard with one hand, but just to give you an idea, now if I pull that tight, it's nice and relaxed on my wrist. And it also kind of promotes a really good punch position as well. It doesn't curve down too much. It will stabilize my wrist from going up too far. This is as far as I can put my wrist up, so it puts me right down. It doesn't necessarily stop me from curling down. Obviously, if it's a Thai-made glove, we want to get that nice plumb and pull our wrist down, and that's the whole idea. And it is decently flexible. Is it as flexible as most Thai gloves? No, but this is more of a traditionally made Mexican glove. The one thing I will say is that your palms will naturally just kind of open like that, and your fingers will as well. And sometimes, but barely, like I just had to do it there. I think that's just because I didn't have anyone to tie my gloves down for me. Your hand does somewhat creep down the glove every now and again, but I think that's just because maybe the composition of my hands, and because I don't have anyone to strap my hands in right now with the laces. So if you don't want that problem, maybe just get a Velcro version of the glove and your hand won't creep down like mine does. But that's really the only thing that has bothered me so far with this glove. But overall, there's tons of room on the inside of the glove to wrap your hands up pretty big. I've done a pro fight wrap just to try it out. The thumb feels comfortable, and like I said, it's not too flexible. It doesn't come out much more than that, but it's very easy to just ball my fist, and it's very comfortable on the inside. Overall, very comfortable glove, very durable glove, and it's pretty nice to use so far. But let's go into the bag work so you can kind of get my idea of how this glove works in action. So when it comes to the feel of these gloves on the bag, they definitely do have that traditional heavy forward style of a Mexican glove. But I get what they mean by they made it Thai style in a certain way because of the way that the thumb and everything else is kind of shaped and designed. It definitely has a bit of thinner yet stiffer padding at the same time compared to some other traditional Mexican gloves. And it definitely gives you that nice, good grip when you get on the inside for your clinch. I love sinking big shots into the bag with these. And the other thing is, because of that forward heavy style of the glove, you can let your hands fly. But I love doing things like Dutch drills with these just because the weight is so well balanced when you go to throw. They're not too heavy, and when you get your punches going, it's definitely a really comfortable, great glove for the bag. So here you can see that big Made in Thailand logo. The one thing I'll say about Combat Corner's gloves is that everything that I've seen them make just has that like unique pop factor to it, and that everything pops out about it, even though it's a basic design of glove. The colors just work well. The leather and the paint pop out really well. The logo pops out really well, and you can see all the extra designs on there. Overall, it looks like a very stylish and very well put together glove. You're gonna look like a really sharp pro using these. All right, folks, so my final verdict for the Combat Corner HMIT sparring gloves is I think they're very, very good, especially for the price range that you get with these. And I definitely see what they mean by the Mexican style glove made Thai style, if that makes any sense. You know, they did a good job in a lot of areas. I don't see too many rooms for improvement other than a couple things, but overall, I really think that Combat Corner did a phenomenal job with these gloves, especially when you see a lot of Thai brands that really try and get into the Mexican, the boxing field and stuff like that. This is a glove I would actually give to a professional fighter, like a boxer, and I think they'd get pretty good reviews with this because it has more padding than, say, a Reyes, as far as like, maybe not in thickness, but as far as the protection goes over the knuckles. And the hand position of the glove and the way it fits and feels is that of a traditional boxing glove. It's not quite as loose as a Thai glove, which could really upset some MMA guys or upset some Thai fighters, which is why there's like the regular traditional HMIT, like just Velcro or lace-up sparring gloves that are different. But this glove, compared to like the actual HMIT or the original HMIT compared to the Mexican style, obviously you can tell by the cuff, the way the cuff's designed, the thumb's designed. When you look at this, if you're a boxer, this screams a puncher's glove, which that is actually a decent puncher's glove, which is nice. So Combat Corner definitely did a good job with that. I guess if I were to go into any things that like annoyed or bothered me, really the only thing that bothered me is, like I said, it did not happen often, but it was at least once a training session where my hand would just kind of creep down out of the glove. And I don't know why that was. Even with hand wraps and stuff on, if my hand was like on the inside like this, say this was where my hand was all the way, it would randomly, my fingers would just start slipping down the wrist cuff. And every now and again when you use the gloves, what will happen is your, like the back part of the wrist will kind of, you know, come off your skin. And that, I think that's why it's like falling down, because it's almost like not securing to your wrist as much as it should. Now, I had my coach either lace these or I use lacing loops, and I know my coach, whenever he laced them himself, worked really well. With the lacing loops, I found that happened more, so I wonder if I wasn't strapping it tight enough. It felt like it was, but that was really about it. Is that every now and again, it just feels like the glove is like, my hand's just kind of sliding out of the glove for some reason. I never found out really why, because the hand compartment's plenty big for my hand. You know, even with hand wraps on, you know, it fit really good. It was a nice snug fit, very comfortable. The interior lining is not too smooth. In fact, it's actually kind of grippy compared to some interior linings out there. So it's not like my hands are sliding off because of that. The only reason why I say that should be a concern for some people is that if your hand slips backwards and you start punching, you're going to start landing with these parts of your knuckles instead of the flush part of your knuckles here. Has that happened to me? No, because I was smart enough to catch it. But I mean, while you're sparring, you definitely got to like sit here for a second with your gloves on. You got to like, so if I put this one on, you can kind of see. Let me loosen that even more so I can get my hand in. So when you come here, like, and you start punching, that hand starts falling back, and you can actually see it when that happens. Put my hand back in. You'll watch the grip here because it naturally kind of curls it, but the moment my finger comes out, you see that lifted up. Then you have to kind of do that, push it back in, and now you're constantly squeezing to keep it in there. Like I said, did that happen too often? No. And so that's why I'm not making a big deal out of it, but it is something that happened to me. Just giving you a warning, if it happens to you, don't be surprised. The other thing I notice is that the thumb, though comfortable, sometimes when you push your hand all the way in, the piping right here, you can kind of feel that really pressing on the corner of your thumb and your pointer finger like this, like when you make your pistol grips. You can definitely feel that a little bit, especially when you wrap your hands. And does it hurt? No. Is it uncomfortable? Not necessarily, but I feel it. And I feel some people might get more sensitive than I will in that department. I know that's actually been a deal breaker for some guys in boxing. So maybe I just wouldn't maybe put the piping as thick in that area if you could. I think that's a really nitpicky statement. I think it works. because like I said, all I do is I just flex my hand a couple times, I don't even feel it. But it is a bit of a stiffer thumb in the corner of the palm. The thumb itself though is nice and padded. It's not too padded at the tip. Not once have I smashed my thumb because it's nice and snug behind, so I don't have to worry about that at all, which is nice. The wrist support is actually really good for these gloves, especially when you pull this tight. But like I said, you can even see it here. If you don't pull this as tight as it goes, it does not stick to your skin all that well. But even if I pull this all the way down, you can see I fixed the laces. It's still kind of coming off of my arm just a little bit, and I think it's because of how padded that bottom part of the wrist is. Personally, for me in a fight glove, or a training glove, I want more padding towards the top of my wrist than my forearm. My forearm, yes, in training will get kicked and stuff, and that's where I think a lot of ties will get it from, or tie-made gloves will do it. I would just make it so this is flat. So if you take out that little wrist cuff, and I see why they do it, so you can have that, that triple, that wedge right there for the laces, the lace tracks. But the only thing about that is it's like you're kind of making the glove lift off of my forearm, which makes it hard to fit the rest of it snug. So I think that's kind of why my fingers will slide down. In fact, it just happened there because I was doing this. So that has to be it, because every time I do this, my fingers are coming off the top a little bit. So I would just change that. Hitting the bag and pads with these though, love them. Love sparring in these, love hitting the bags and pads in these. Excellent puncher's glove with a nice added, not pillow feel, I guess you could say. It's kind of like a hybrid of a puncher's and pillows, but it doesn't feel like a pillow glove in that my knuckles aren't going through. I can push through and feel my knuckles through the padding, not like Reyes in that I can feel the bones, but I can definitely feel that through there. But that boost wedge padding that they put here, albeit thin, is really protecting my knuckles here. So Combat Corner did a phenomenal job in having a nice puncher's glove that will keep you safe in the gym at all times, which is awesome. So that's really something that I admire that they did, because that solves a lot of problems with it. The only thing I could see for some guys that really like that soft padding is that it is stiff when you get it out of the bag or out of the box, and it took a little bit to break in, but not long. Right off the jump, I think it maybe took me a good 2-3 days to really just break these gloves in before I started sparring with them. So hit the bag a little bit with these, but overall it has that nice medium soft sponge feel to it, which is nice. So I would just break these in a little bit before you start sparring in them on the bag and on the pads, and they shouldn't take that long to do that with. But I mean, as far as hitting the bags, I love hitting the bags and pads with these. Sparring with these are good. They are a little thin compared to some other gloves, so they can definitely reach right behind here. They're not huge gloves. They're a good size, but they're not huge. So I mean, people can sneak through your guard here, which is nice. The other thing is, I wish they opened a little bit better for some Thai guys, because some guys, although you can get pretty good grips with these on the wrist, the back of the arms, and the neck, it doesn't open as much, and I just feel like it's because I had to push it down too. That will prevent me from clinching sometimes, and I just wish it was a little bit more flexible right up here. The top of the fingers feel good, but down here it feels like maybe the stitching around the grip bar was stitched too tight, which prevents me from opening it any further than this. I mean, I'm trying, and you can actually see me push this glove up like that. That's as far as it's gonna go. So it fits pretty good. It clinches really well. I think the clinch work could be better, but I like I said, it's a Mexican style glove, and they really tried to get that Mexican style glove part to you. They tried to really push it to you. What would I give the rating for these gloves? Well, compared to some other Mexican style Thai gloves out there, I definitely think these are better than the BGV 9s by Fairtex, and that I think the quality's better. I think the protection's a lot better in the knuckles, in the wrist, and in the thumb, because the BGV 9 or anything by Fairtex, honestly, just doesn't fit my hand as well as these did. You can definitely tell these were made more for a Westerner using Thai stuff, because of the way the hand compartment is fit and how it feels, which is awesome that some factories in Thailand are starting to feel and do that. The knuckle padding is really what sold it to me, because you can have guys that want to use puncher stuff that can't because their knuckles are too fragile or too brittle. In this case, you got that boost wedge padding right on the top of the glove that fits over the latex. So you get that nice recoil when you punch the bag mitts or when you're sparring. You feel every punch with a nice layered cradle protection, which is awesome. So I think they did a really good job with that. The wrist cuff is really nice. I just wish they maybe just took the bottom part of the padding away or made it a little less thick so it would stick to your arm a little bit easier and a little bit better. And I also wish that was a thing and they made it a little bit more flexible for my hands to open so my fingers wouldn't kind of come out of the finger compartment. That's really the biggest pet peeve of mine, is that finger compartment issue. Maybe it's just my hands, which is why I don't give it the biggest issue, period. But overall, I give these gloves a solid 8 to 9 out of 10. I'm going to settle with 8 just because of that finger compartment issue. Overall, the quality is amazing. For the price of these gloves too, compared to some other gloves out there, I think it's a fair price. It's like 160 or 170 bucks, which is usually the norm for a good pair of professional quality MMA or boxing, kickboxing gloves. And the other thing is that these are very good for multi-purpose things. If a guy walked into my boxing gym and used these, I wouldn't be mad at them at all because they really do fit like a traditional Mexican style glove. I also wouldn't be mad if you came into my MMA gym or if you came into my kickboxing gym and used these as well, because they're meant for all of that stuff. Combat Corner for me is really designed for the kickboxer, and I think a lot of Thai and like Dutch style kickboxers or Japanese style kickboxers would really love gloves like these. Now they are quite a bit different from the HMIT training glove. This is the sparring glove. There are differences there. Like I said, I put timestamps so you can kind of see the difference. And I'm thinking I might do a video between the differences of like the HMIT regular glove and the sparring glove here, because I think they should put that on their website too so people don't get too confused. But I mean, overall, the HMIT handmade in Thailand training gloves, or sparring gloves, excuse me, now I'm getting confused. The sparring gloves made by Combat Corner did a very good job. They look stylish, they're basic, they get the job done a lot better than a lot of other gloves out there, and I think they work for just about everybody. Even if you have like brittle knuckles, I think that boost wedge padding works really well. They also have phenomenal customer service, which is always a plus for me. So I think anyone who buys these gloves would really enjoy the fact that Combat Corner is in your corner at all times. So that's awesome. The quality is really well. I mean, my shoot room right now where I shoot my videos just smells like brand new shoe leather. I've had these since late September, early October, and it's January now. So I mean, the scent doesn't go away. They're very well built. I haven't even had to condition this leather yet, which is incredible for me. Very soft, supple leather, not too thick of a hide. Like most Thai gloves don't use too thick of a hide, but these are really, really well made. So Combat Corner did a phenomenal job. I give these guys an 8 out of 10. I just think those small fixes for me personally would change it, like the hand compartment, and I think maybe the wrist, the back of the hand is maybe a little bit too padded, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if that's like for everybody. I know it's for me, but for everybody, you know, let me know in the comments below if you have these, what you think. Overall, guys, very well made gloves. Very impressed with Combat Corner. I bought a bunch of their stuff recently. My whole conquest now is just to go brand through brand and just get a bunch of stuff from one brand, then move on instead of jumping from brand to brand to brand to brand. So I'm focused on Combat Corner right now. I got 2 pairs of the MMA gloves or shin guards, and now I have 2 pairs of the boxing gloves, starting with these. Hopefully the HMIT traditional training gloves will be my next review for Combat Corner. That won't be for probably another month though, because as you know, I really like to break my stuff in. So without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. If you have any questions, comment below. I really love reading your comments. What would you like for me to review next? I want to know. Follow all my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. Follow me on all my social media platforms. But above all, please comment below. Like, comment, and subscribe. It goes a long way to help the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one, everybody.